Welcome to Backstory Collections, and today we are taking a closer look at the name Nike on the 25th January of 1964 with an initial investment of $500 each. A respectable former middle distance runner Phil Knight, along with his coach Bill Bowerman, one of the most respected coaches in America, founded a company called Blue Ribbon Sports. They hired Jeff Johnson, whom Phil Knight had grown to know through their shared passion for running while pursuing their masters at Stanford. Little did they know that Jeff Johnson would play the central role in giving the company its iconic name. Blue Ribbon was formed with a vision to import high-quality running shoes from a little-known Japanese company called Onitsuka Tiger, which would later go on to become a multinational brand itself called Asics. Due to disputes with Onitsuka Tiger, in 1971, the company decided to manufacture shoes under its own brand. Phil Knight, the original founder, decided to go with the name Dimension 6, which many employees didn't really like. The day the patent was to be filed by Phil Knight, Jeff Johnson hurriedly called him up and suggested the name Nike. Well, the story goes that Jeff Johnson dreamt of the Greek goddess of victory, Nike, who is often portrayed as the winged victory in the motion of flight. Phil wasn't fully buying into the name initially. On the 30th of May, 1971, Phil was to register the name Dimension 6, and so that morning the company had already begun printing the boxes with the name Dimension 6. However, later in the day, when Phil was fully convinced by Jeff Johnson, the name Nike was adopted, which then was printed on the rest of the shoe boxes. Phil then went on to officially file the name Nike on that same day. The first line of shoes, called Nike Cortez, were produced in the year 1972. The name Nike Cortez has an interesting story of its own, which we will cover separately. But you probably are wondering, what about the famous Nike logo? Well, Phil Knight was an assistant professor at Portland State University when he overheard a graphic design student named Caroline Davidson complaining of how expensive oil paints were. Phil walked up to her and proposed the idea of employing her skills in exchange of a logo for the Nike shoe at the rate of $2 an hour. After several iterations and 17 and a half hours later, the Nike swoosh logo was born, and Caroline was paid $35 in full. She would later be commemorated and awarded a stock option that would eventually be worth $1 million. She would also be celebrated as a part of the company's heritage by the company itself. Jeff Johnson, also known as the employee number one, would be given the title of the Spirit of Nike for his seminal work in the early days for brand positioning, marketing, and sales and distribution. He was instrumental in laying down the foundation for its future success. And that's the fascinating story behind the Nike name and logo. If you are interested in making a free logo for yourself, just go to Canva, and in no time you can make some of the most creative logos for free. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to encourage me to make even more amazing content. From Backstory Collections, thank you for watching.